I wanted to talk about a Bible passage I just read in Daniel chapter 4. Basically, what it was is King Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, was given a dream where he was warned that if he is going to be arrogant, if he's going to exalt himself, that God was going to humble him, and he was going to humble him hard. And so he brings in the wise men, and Daniel, the Hebrew who serves, the one true God, told him the interpretation of his dream. And he said, hey, God is going to humble you. And he explained what was going to happen. And the king looks out at all his riches and says, hey, I'm the great King Nebuchadnezzar. I'm this great, big, wonderful guy. What could possibly happen to me? And God decides to give him the mind of a beast. And so I think it was for 7 years, King Nebuchadnezzar lived out in the wilderness like an animal. The fingernails on his hands grew long. His hair, it says, grew and became like eagle's feathers. I'm wondering if that means it was really clumping together. But basically, you had this king of this mighty empire, and he was given the mind of a beast. And then at the end of that time, God restored his mind. The king's officials sought him out, and he was restored as the king. And so I think there's a lot to take away from this. And I think in my situation, I am in between jobs right now. I had a good lab job for a while, but it didn't work out. I really want to be in a research lab, and I've done so many odd jobs here and there since college. Sometimes they were in labs, sometimes they weren't, and it's been rough. It's been hard, trying to find that right place, trying to make that break. But I think in my mind, what I really wanted to get to a point where it's like, okay, I've invested a lot of money, I have great riches, maybe I've invented something and been able to patent it, or maybe the novel I'm working on ends up taking off, as all aspiring young writers like to fantasize about, and ended up in a place where I was financially secure and never had to worry about money again. But the Bible says that riches are fleeting. It's like a bird; it's going to fly away. And you think about the history of especially the 20th century, where you have people who had great wealth, and somebody rises to power, along the lines of Adolf Hitler, or one of the communist dictators of these atheistic regimes, and people lost all of it. And so, it goes to show that it doesn't matter how great you are, you can still be brought down. But something King Nebuchadnezzar said was very interesting. I wish I could pull up the verse on my phone, but I don't know if I can do that without losing the camera. He said that God is great, and he's able to humble, even the proud. And so he didn't resent God for giving him the mind of a beast for 7 years. He said, look how great God is to be able to do this. And I think that if God is able to take a king and lower him down, and if God is so sovereign over the world that he can do this, then surely he can take care of me. Surely he can take care of whatever bills that need to be paid. And don't get me wrong, that's not an excuse to not look for work, because I'm actively looking for work. I'm actively talking to scientists at a nearby university and saying, hey, would you be interested in taking me on? And I actually know everybody in the biochemistry department over there. It's not the university that I went to, but for long story short, and those of you who've watched my other videos can imagine, I actually am connected to all but maybe 2 scientists in the biochemistry department over there. And so if I can, I'm hoping to get in there, hoping to get a good job, hoping to be able to be on my feet and be able to take care of myself. And hopefully God will give that to me. But I think I'm in a time right now where God is humbling me and God is showing me, Greg, it's not your job that takes care of you. It's not your job that provides you with money. It's not your job that gives you the things you need. It's me. You know, I'm your source. I'm the one who loves you. I'm the one who's here to take care of you. And that's a hard lesson for me to learn because, you know, I read Matthew 6 where it says, you know, look at the birds, look at the grass. And it's appropriate. I'm standing in front of a meadow, a field. And you have all these flowers out here. And God says, even Solomon wasn't clothed as well as the grass, so how much more will he take care of you? And it's the biggest doubt in my mind, because I see starving children on TV. You know, people who are starving and dying. You know, we've all heard the, you know, Christian Children's Fund thing of, 30,000 children starve to death every day. And so I wonder, where is God in that? Where is God in this Matthew 6 promise where he promises to give us the food and the clothing? Is it that these people aren't following God? Is it that these children, you know, have parents that aren't following God, or they just had the misfortune of being in this sort of environment? And then what about, you know, people who died of starvation in the Holocaust? I mean, God provided food, you know, to the world, but you had these evil governments preventing food from coming to people. So, these are issues that I really struggle with, and it's actually my biggest area of doubt with my faith. Is it's not so much does God exist, because I believe that God is real. I see what He's created, and I know enough about photosynthesis. I know enough about biology to say this did not happen slowly and gradually. There's too many interconnected parts that need to be there all at once. But it does bring up this one area of doubt that is the strongest for me, being, will God take care of me? Will God provide me wisdom where I need it? Will God provide me food when I need it? Will God provide me... that might sound strange from a big guy, but I actually overeat because I get to be afraid that there won't be any food later. And so I get to be afraid that I won't be fed and that I'll go hungry, or that I won't have food that's proper for my body. You know, because, you know, man can't just live on carbohydrates alone. Sorry to, you know, butcher that paraphrase there, but I don't know. So this is my biggest area of doubt, and if any of you have anything to say in the comments box, definitely go for it. But I think that God really is putting me through a time to show me that He'll take care of me. Even though this is a big area where I'm really confused, because on one hand you have health, wealth, and prosperity preachers that, you know, popped out of some port, somehow escaped from some hole to hell somewhere. But on the other hand, it seems like, you know, preachers that say the only thing that God promises you is a cross to die on and eternity with Him if you're saved. So it's an area where there's a lot of confusion for me, and I don't understand it. And like I said, feel free to put anything in the comments section. Feel free to say anything you want to say, because I didn't really intend to talk about this quite so much, but I mean, this is my biggest area of doubt. It is the biggest area where things are difficult for me. But thanks for watching this video. Pray for my job situation, and pray that, you know, God gives me another oyster, that it has my pearl in it. And by that I mean my Good job. This is Greg, out.